Hello and welcome back to 60 Minutes Meets a Sarcastic 16-year-old. It's your favorite show on the air. No one cares, it's an English assignment! Tonight we have two very interesting guests. The first is a Holocaust survivor, Nobel Peace Prize winner, and a literal corpse as of 2 years ago. It's Eliza Wiesel! The other is a graphic novelist who took Animal Farm and made it about the Holocaust. We have Art Spiegelman, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so first thing I'd like to say is that it's wonderful to have you both here tonight as we film this at 4 in the afternoon. But let's cut the jokes, let's get to the interview. So, Eliza, you were brought up as a very religious person, as were many of the people in Romania and the surrounding countries, yes?
Yeah.
And you once said that your father represented reason while your mother promoted faith, yeah?
Yeah.
So, my question for you is, was the absence of your mother in the concentration camps a driving force for your loss of faith?
Well, that's a hard question, obviously. Because while my mother was the promoter of faith in my family, I still treated these religious ideas as my own. And a large majority of the reason that I abandoned my faith was less to do with a vacuum of religious enforcement left by my mother, and more to do with my own developing mind forming these ideas in a situation that was completely juxtaposed to anything I was taught when I was growing up. But I would still say that my mother had an impact, no matter how small, just because I don't know what would have happened to my ideas and my mindset if she was there in the camps with me and my father. It could have had an effect, and it could have not. I don't know.
And are you still religious today?
Well, for the most part, no. But as I learned to get past the trauma of my childhood, and I learned all the beautiful and wondrous things of the world, I slowly am gravitating back to my religious roots from the little boy back in Siget.
Well, that's amazing. Art, any thoughts?
No, not really. I just don't have the experience of being in the Holocaust like Eliza, so I can't add anything.
Okay, so this one is open to either of you. Do you think that each of your books did a good job educating the public on the horrors of the past, so to speak?
No, I don't want to speak for my book because I don't want to come off as a narcissist, but I think Eliza's book did an amazing job of telling the general public what happened to these people in the camps, especially on a very personal level as well. And I think there's this thing going around where people overgeneralize these types of events, especially the Holocaust, saying that, oh, 6 million people died in the Holocaust and over 1 million of them were children. And you don't get to hear the personal stories. And if you do, you only get to hear like small snippets of it. Like, people will say, oh, on the first day my mom and my sister died. And that's all you get to hear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You, Mr. Spiegelman, your book, Mouse, had a much greater reach simply from the fact that it was a graphic novel. And calling it a graphic novel or a comic book does not do it justice in any way. Your art style is phenomenal, and you have a way of capturing the moment, the vibe, the theme of a moment, using just the shading and the framing. I remember one scene in particular where your father's son was staying with a family friend in Hungary, I believe. And she killed herself along with your father's son and her daughter because they were going to be taken to a concentration camp. And she saw that dying at her own hands was more honorable than dying at the hands of the Nazi. But as she comes to the conclusion that she needs to do this, it zooms in one panel at a time, and the background behind her becomes pitch black. And it is absolutely incredible. It captures the moment perfectly, the darkness, the gravity of the situation. And it's amazing. But back to what I was saying, because it was a graphic novel, it reached an ever-shrinking audience, children. And because of that, it reached more people than my book ever could.
So, it is great hearing such complimentary thoughts, but our time is unfortunately running short here tonight. So, I've got one last question for you, and it is a big one. So, would you stop the events of the Holocaust and World War II from happening if you could?
Oh man, this is quite the doozy.
So I'd like to preface this by saying that I don't think that anything that happened in the Holocaust on any level was good.
but I'd have to say that I would not take it back just because I don't think erasing it from history would have the effect that we would want it to. And you just let all those people die. Well, it's not just letting them die. There's so much more to it. We can't know what would happen if we change the past, and there's so much that could happen. Maybe another minority group becomes the scapegoat for Germany, and it leads to a series of events that's far worse than the ones that we have today. And I also think that the Holocaust was sort of a learning curve for the world in the sense that we can look at what happened back then and compare it to what is happening today, and if it's similar, then we can stop anything before it happens. And sure, a terrifying amount of people died in the Holocaust, but it did guide us. And not just in the sense that I just mentioned, but also World War II as a whole influenced almost everything that followed it. Like, we have the United Nations. The Cold War would not have happened if it weren't for World War II. And also the technology that came out of World War II is incredible, like the atomic bomb. Imagine a world today without nukes. How crazy would that be? Especially in our current political climate as well. But all I'm saying is that the world would be very different if we got rid of those events in the past. And it could be good, and it could be bad. And I'm not sure if I'm willing to take that chance and maybe get the bad side of things. Well, with you having said that, I think I would have stopped it from happening because it could only make things better. So many people that I know died. My mother, my father, my sister. And so many people that I know are in such a similar situation. And many people didn't make it out a sane person. Being in that atmosphere of death and just negativity, it scars you. And even you in your book, you said that your father was a different person before the war. Don't bring my father into this. Well, anyway, the loss of life, the families and minds torn apart, make the chance that you spoke of worth taking. Okay, that happened. But everybody, Mouse and Knight on sale wherever books are sold, so buy it on Amazon. Give Jeff Bezos some more money because he definitely needs it. That's our show, and see you never again.